Hello, I'm Corey Meidel, and I'm an EMT, and I work on an ambulance like this one here. And my background is I did a college degree in international rescue and relief, which was actually pretty pertinent to what is going on in the world right now. My internship for that Bachelor's of Science was with a local metropolitan city's water supply in Nebraska. And we actually my project was to come up with a contingency response plan for an epidemic, specifically pandemic flu. And I did that for a whole semester. And the question was, how can we keep the city's water supply working for all the residents in light of a flu that might take out some of the water engineers?
My name is Brock Meyer, and I'm a Gideon Rescue team member, as well as a flight paramedic and a flight nurse. I was trained actually at Union College in Lincoln, Nebraska. I took a bachelor's degree program called International Rescue and Relief with an emphasis in paramedicine. And one of the core pieces of our curriculum was to actually study emerging diseases, and we talked a lot about SARS. That was a big thing actually back then, about 2005. And the risk that these diseases, these pandemics pose to our health, but not only our health, but our infrastructure, our global infrastructure. And so ways that we could mitigate those diseases and actually respond effectively to those diseases. And so a lot of my training, back in the day actually comes full circle right here to some unprecedented challenges that we face as a world community. With the recent COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic.
Daily we get briefs here where I work on the ambulance crew about how we can keep ourselves safe, keep our patients safe, sterilize our ambulances after a threatening call, wearing these N95 masks, which we could only get a few of them. Even though we're a priority agency, we barely have enough for these, so we're in restricted supply.
So Corey, you make a good point. I work for a large air ambulance provider. We do both 911 transports and also interfacility transports. And we're getting inundated with information on COVID-19 coronavirus. My email inbox is full to the brim, to the breaking. And it's hard to sift through that kind of information. Like, what is important, what's going on? The situation is daily changing.
One of the things we know about this coronavirus is it is specifically worse in those who are immunocompromised, the elderly, those who have had a significant sickness like leukemia. So what if we could bolster and strengthen our immune system? And we know some things do that. Getting the right amount of sleep, getting the right amount of exercise, getting your blood going through your body, brings the nutrients, gets rid of the waste. Exercise does a really good job of that. And drinking water. Your body is designed to operate with a certain intake of water. So the measures that we're taking both locally, nationally, internationally include transportation shutdowns with limiting traffic, ground traffic, air traffic, limiting restaurants. I mean, everybody knows probably right now the limitations. Some places are really strict, some places are so strict. I know if I go to a place where it is suspected that there's a high number of cases, I'm off work for 2 weeks personally. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. So there is a lot of serious measures being taken. A lot of businesses are closing their doors. Certainly everything to do with restaurants, amusements, travel, recreation, sports, the list goes on. And those are having some big effects. It's like our world economy has been put on pause, and a lot of people are maybe losing their jobs or losing pay, losing work, losing productivity at any rate. And there's a lot of side effects to the plan that the world has been putting in place. So it's not just a health crisis, it's an economic crisis, it's a capital and labor crisis with very real consequences. And because of all of this, the natural reaction of the human heart is fear. And there are things to be afraid of. Fear, however, real though the consequences may be, fear is a bad state of mind to make critical decisions in. Fear can give us that tunnel vision where we don't think about the broader scope, where we don't think about considering all things and making the wisest choices. There are a lot of side effects that we just described, and is it possible that we're not considering all of the side effects that are coming as part of our world response plan? It's probably wise to consider, where did this come from? Why is it here? Have we played a role in this? Is it something we brought on ourselves? You know, the Bible talks about certain laws about what's good for health, what's not. And it's interesting to know that this virus is a zoonotic type of virus. It comes specifically from animals. How do we catch viruses from animals? Well, close contact. Nothing's closer than eating it. And it is a transgression of law that brings problems and consequences. In fact, the scripture says, the curse causeless shall not come. So what kind of laws would have been violated? Health laws, dietary practices, sanitation. It's interesting to find out that this came from a meat market, probably one that wasn't very clean. If violating the laws of health got us here, what if we begin practicing the laws of health? What about eating the right kinds of food, getting the right kind of nutrition, abstaining from the kinds of animals that problems are associated with, and getting a whole food, plant-based diet?
So in one of our last videos, we made the connection between the increase of natural disasters and the violation of law. And what's so fascinating is that that's what we see in the world around us right now, is that we're reaping the consequences of what we sow. If we violate natural health laws, we reap the consequences of that violation. And this certainly, I believe, has a great connection to what we're seeing with this pandemic. That the violation of natural health laws and what we eat, and even how we interact with each other, washing our hands, all of these simple measures, we may think they're simple, but they are very profound. And what's so powerful is that, like Corey said earlier, God's word actually talks a lot about health measures and health laws. And we see that in the Levitical laws. He had a whole set of Levitical laws that he gave Israelites in order to stay healthy, not to touch unclean things, not to touch unclean meats, not to eat unclean meats. And there was a lot of health codes that we base our societal health codes today from those Levitical laws from ancient times. And this is true of any plague. You know, even the bubonic plague or the black plague. You know, they quarantined entire cities. You know, they called out entire armies. They marshaled their best forces to try to deal with the situation at hand. But it wasn't until they understood that it was basic sanitation that made all the difference in eradicating and eliminating the disease. Could it be that the solution to what we're facing now be a lot more simple than we realize, in a return to basic health laws that God has given us? So in conclusion, we want to talk about this pandemic of fear that is really gripping the entire world. You know, people are fearful, and they have right to be afraid. You know, what is going to happen with our economy? What about their health? All of these questions that people have. But the Bible has incredible answers if we would but read its pages. You know, in 2 Timothy 1 verse 7, we find, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love and of power and of a sound mind. And John backs this up when he says that perfect love casts out fear. So this is so powerful. We can take these promises and we can claim them. We can apply them to our lives, and we can overcome incredible challenges, even the challenge of a worldwide pandemic. Now, David has a lot to say in regards to fear as well. And Psalms 91 is one of the most powerful psalms that gives us hope and encouragement for a future, because we put our trust not in what man can do, not in what we ourselves can do, but in what God can do in protecting us from what is happening all around us. Listen to this. For I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge. He is my God, in whom I will trust. Surely He will deliver thee from the snare of the fowler, from the noisome pestilence. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings shalt you trust. His truth shall be your shield and your buckler. You will not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flies by day, nor for the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor for the destruction that wastes at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Isn't that powerful? That no matter what happens, no matter the amount of destruction, 1,000 at our side, 10,000 at our right hand, that the promise is that it will not come near us. In fact, He gives us further evidence that God says here in verse 10, He says, there shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For He shall give His angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways. And it's so amazing that even our dwellings, even our houses, even our families can be protected, that God would watch over us. Because He has set His love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high because he has known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble, and I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. We can trust the Bible even in the midst of complete uncertainty. You know, friends, I believe that Jesus is coming soon, and this is why we're seeing these things happen all around us. But God has not left us without a source of encouragement. He's not left us without a rock, a foundation upon which we can build. And this is the message that we have to share, that no matter where we go for disaster response, no matter where we go to help, no matter where we go to lend not only a physical hand, we want to point people to a foundation that will carry them through any crisis that they face. We can have hope even in the midst of disaster.
My camera crew right here. This is cameraman Joel operating the camera from behind. He got a lot of great shots today. High five. Keep it up, buddy. And then there's the other two camera operators. We got a sound operator there and also camera operator. Jax, wave Jax, say hi. Emma, say hi. Thanks for your help, guys. Good job. And the cat didn't do anything.